This is a topic that's come up a few times in the past that I've helped give some insights into, but it's that myth of, or is it a myth, that you can make 100,000 or more being a server? And the answer is yes. I've personally known several people that have made over $100,000 as a server. My, two of my favorite waiters of all time happen to be in that income bracket. Now, you're probably not going to make that kind of money at Chili's, and we're going to talk about that. But I want to kind of map out a path on how you get there. And I'll tell you, that my two favorite servers of all time, one of the key things for them was they treated their job as a career. They wanted to perfect a craft. And they took it very seriously. They didn't take it as it's just my hospitality job to pay the bills. They honed that craft over many years to get where they're at. You're probably not going to go make $100,000 as a server at 22 years old. Like, it's a skill set you do build. And we'll talk about that. How do we get from, starting off at the local family restaurant and moving your way up? So my first thought was, and this is coming from my perspective of a lot of the shows we're going to do on this channel, it's what we call check writer's perspective or founder's perspective. The stuff you're going to hear is a little bit different than what you read on social media, because a lot of the content you're reading on social media and the larger news sites is often written by people that don't sign their front of the checks. They've never ran or started a business, for example. So I'm going to try to give you a little bit of that insight, just to give you some ideas on what you may want to do. But the first thing that I think anyone that's in the restaurant space is looking for is dependability. If you're not reliable or dependable, good luck building a career in this space. And it's an industry that, depending on where you're at, you expect X amount of your staff to call off on Monday. There's a restaurant that opened up here in Michigan that they're in major cities around the country. And this gentleman, I was talking to the general manager, and they just came here. He came here from Chicago, and he got this site up and going. First one we've ever had in the state of Michigan. And then, like, Monday rolls around and 30% of his staff calls off. And he's like, I'm telling you this because I was there that day, and the service was beyond terrible. And we got in a pretty good conversation about, what's going on. And he's like, I'd never experienced anything like this in Chicago. He's like, people had bills to pay. I would never have, you always have people call off, but not like this. So he had to actually learn to overstaff his location just to account for the amount of people that called off. Now, if you're trying to build a career, you're trying to build a six-figure career as a server or somewhere in the hospitality industry, the first thing you have to do is be reliable and dependable. If you're that person always calling off, then good luck. So let's just say you started off at the, mom and pop family diner. You try to work your way up somewhere. Let's just say Chili's, Applebee's, one of those bar and grills. Your next step is you want to get to a restaurant that's got, a little bit higher food prices because you hope that the higher the ticket price, the bigger the tip you're going to get. Maybe you try to get into somewhere like J. Alexander's, a middle of the level, Italian restaurant, something like that. These are the moves you're going to try to make while you're also continuing education. This is important. There's a lot of competition in the hospitality space. What sets you apart? Obviously, if you know people, it helps a lot. I always say, show up to the interview with something to talk about. Show up with something on your resume that sets you apart. Go get a wine certification. Go get, you can go to Cornell and you can get you used to, I'm sure there's other ones. You can get a certificate in like training in the food and beverage industry. There's things that you can go learn that help set you apart. Now, if you want to go work at Capital Grill, and that's where one of the six-figure servers I know works. And I know that because, between me and another one of his customers, him alone probably has gotten $20,000 tips out of the two of us in 1 year. But this person's always going to show up, and you don't need a SOM. He's got just enough wine knowledge to tell you, I know what you like. This is what I recommend. This is in your price point. This is going to go good with the food you usually eat. He has a story. He was at a food and wine festival. Something, right? And you realize a lot of the server experience comes from the knowledge and the stories. My favorite waiter of all time always had a story. He was, skiing here. He was in Argentina. He was out in Colorado, tried this wine, was skiing and went to a food festival. The experience at a restaurant isn't just about the food and the beverages. It's about everything, the atmosphere, the stories that comes from your server, the whole customer service experience. So if you want to get that job at Capital Grille now, show up with your resume that's got some certifications around wine, around food and beverage, around training, something that makes you show that you can sit around and talk to like stuffy six-figure executives all day. This is kind of how you climb that ladder, because we already established you're a dependable, reliable person that's not going to call off and leave the general manager holding the bag. So if you're fun to be around, you don't cause problems, you're friendly with the customers, your experience makes the customers want to come back, which raises your value even more. This is how you get to that six-figure level. Again, you're not going to do it working at a place where the average plate is $11. You use that to hone your experience, to perfect the craft so you can get the next one. And you start looking at restaurants as, I want to get this restaurant because I know the next restaurant would value that. Then you say, I want to get beyond Capital Grille. I want to get into one of these like really boutique steakhouses that are, people that are buying $500 bottles of wine. They're spending $150, $200 on a tomahawk ribeye, and they're buying some Kobe beef we go in and buy Kobe beef as an appetizer. Like, we'll spend $250 on an appetizer. Like, it's ridiculous. Now you're in these places where the tab's going to be $1,000, and you know what? A lot of these people aren't tipping 20%. You're going to get 25, 30%. You're going to get $200-$300 for one table. This is how you stack that income up. So yeah, it's not a myth. You can make $100,000 becoming a server. It's just a matter of, are you going to spend the time to build the craft, master this skill, be dependable and reliable, and try to work your way up. It can be done if you want to do it. And of course, you can go make $50,000, $75,000 and not even have to go that far into it. My thought is, for what it takes to get up into the $75,000 range, why not put in a little more effort and go break six figures? So, also, as you learn more about wine, as you get some of those certifications, you're reinvesting in yourself. That's going to help you go down the path of, if you want to get into the operation side of a restaurant. Now, do you want to become a general manager at a restaurant? Do you want to help possibly someone else start up a restaurant? There's other career paths. Do you get into a hospitality group because you're known as this top-notch server and you got a great reputation, and then you have things like these certifications about, like, training in the food and beverage industry from places like Cornell? Does that help you get into a restaurant or hospitality consulting group where you're going around and you're helping other restaurants open or up their service? So there's career paths here, but it is going to take you being top 1% employee, be dependable, be reliable, and keep reinvesting in yourself and keep learning. So that's my thoughts on this topic. If you've ever been able to get up in that 60, 70, 80 plus thousand range, drop a comment below. Tell us how you got there. What moves did you make? Did you get a certification? Did you go to some school to learn more about wine and cheeses and different types of culinary art? Let us know. Drop a comment below. Until then, we will catch you on the next one.